Hello, power users. How you doing this month? Today, as I record this, it is officially June the 9th. That means we are very close to the end of the year, at least here at River Street. Our final day is June the 22nd. Depending on what district you're working in, you might have a different final day. A lot of folks will just roll right on over because we all work summer school, but I do hope that everyone has an opportunity to take some time off this summer. We all need a rest, and we are getting right there at official vacation time. So I hope you get some time off. And I promised you that the tips for this month and for next month will be related to that. So that's what I want to get started with today. Let's talk about how you can use your phone primarily as a major resource when you are going on your vacation this summer. Now, I'm going to just walk through a list of things you can do, things you should have on your phone, things to adjust on your phone, and then I'll just throw some things up on the screen as we go. But I've got my list here, and we're going to go down this list. We're going to talk about some things for you to know. First of all, there are some things that you should photograph so that you have the photos on your phone before you start your trip. Now, I'm going to walk through these, then we'll talk about different ways to store them. First thing you should have, a photo of the front and the back of your driver's license. This is a key piece of your personal identification. Whether you're driving or not, it's important to have that. And you want to have a photo of it because it's always possible. I hope nothing bad happens on your time off, but it's always possible you could lose your wallet, you could lose your purse, or just lose the driver's license. Take it out at some point for identification, forget it, leave it behind, then when you're without it. So it's important to have a photo of that. Likewise, even if you're not traveling outside of the country where your passport is required, have a photo of all the key pages of your passport. When you're traveling, make sure you have photos of the front and the back, if there's important information on the back, of your health insurance card. You never know where you might be, if you get sick, if you get injured. You want to be able to have your insurance available to you. If you have a plan where you have a separate card for dental or vision or pharmacy, then make sure you have photos of those cards as well. Make sure you have a copy, or rather a photo, of your COVID vaccination card. And we're going to come back and talk about that one in a little more detail in a moment because there's more to it than just having a photo of the card, but have the photo of the card in your phone. Now, if you are driving, you are going to make sure that you have a photo of your license plate. I know you think, oh, I know my license plate. I don't need a photo. I'm going to tell you, if you walk out the door and your car has been stolen, in moments of high stress and anxiety, it can be hard to remember the license plate number. So have a photo. Make it easy on yourself. Have a photo if you can get your phone around to that, or just write down your vehicle VIN number so that you can identify the car to authorities. Along with that, have copies on your phone of your auto insurance card, have photos of your auto registration form. That way you are covered for all kinds of lost documents or whatever. Have a photo of the front and the back of all of your credit cards that you're going to carry with you. Whether it's debit or credit, have the front and the back. The front is important because that's the number. That's your credit card number and the expiration date and so forth. That's important. But on the back is also the little code number you need. But even more importantly, usually on the back is the 1-800 number that you would call to report a lost or stolen card. So make sure you have a photo of the back of the card with you. Any other cards that are related to travel, have a photo of, whether that might be a AAA card, an AARP card, or anything else that is sort of a discount kind of card that you might use. So have copies of all of those. If you've got photos of those cards, then you've made a good start for preparing for your trip. So now let's talk about where we would keep those cards. All right, so you've got all those photos, and they're on your phone. Now what? Well, it's good to have them on your phone. And I know that may seem like, oh, well, that's not really secure, but hopefully you have your phone with a lock screen so that you've either got a code that lets people in, or you've got a thumbprint that lets people in, or you've got the Face ID. That pretty much limits access to that phone to you. And so that is a fairly secure place to carry things and the most convenient place to carry things. So that's good. Um, but then you take off on vacation and you start taking photos of the beach or the forest or the hiking trail or the museum, and suddenly the photos that you took are now like 300 photos back, and you got to scroll to find them if you need them. So when you take photos of those cards, at least on the iPhone, for every photo at the bottom, there's a little heart. Just tap it. You have favorited that photo. And now in your albums, along with your photo album, which may have thousands of photos in it, you'll have a favorites album that may just have a few. And that makes it easier to find those photos on your phone if you need them. But there are other options for storing these things as well. And you can do them in addition to just having them on your phone, or if you are concerned that the phone may not be secure enough and you want to be able to access them but not quite so directly, then you have some options. I have some things that I store in Evernote, and we talked about Evernote back in our Power Users course. And you can see that I have documents that I've scanned into Evernote. Evernote actually has their own scanning app called Scannable that does a great job of recognizing the document and uploading it. And the reason for scanning it into Evernote rather than just taking a photo is it makes it a little easier for their optical character recognition, which means that you can search for a document based on words inside the document if you've kind of forgotten what things are. But you can see I've got a personal notebook here. That's where my personal records are kept. And so that gives me access as well. And I can access those either from my computer by logging into my Evernote account or using the Evernote app on my phone, which means not only do you have to know the password to get into my phone, but then you need to know my Evernote password as well. So we've got 2 layers of security there. The other place that you can keep them, and a place where I put some things because these are sites that have been trusted as some of the most secure and have proven to be so, is your password manager. Your password manager doesn't have spots just for passwords. It may have a spot for notes, for credit cards, for other information. You can see in mine here I use 1Password. There is a spot for credit cards. That really is a record of the credit card number. And in the notes field, I can put what's the 800 number to call for contact, that kind of thing. I could also, put notes in other places here. There's less photo action going on here, so this is not going to work for everything. But it is a place where you can record all of your information in a place that is very secure, and again, requiring 2 ways to access it rather than just one. So that gives you 3 different places to put your information so that you can find what feels like a comfort level to you in terms of having it on your phone or in the cloud in a way that may be reasonably safe. Now, I told you we would come back and talk about the COVID card a little bit more. It is entirely possible that you will not need this card wherever you go. On the other hand, we never know. Things can change so drastically and so quickly regarding who has to be verified as being vaccinated. If you are going on a cruise ship, I believe you have to prove that you've been vaccinated. Depending on certain countries, if you're flying overseas, you may have to prove vaccination in order to gain entry into the country. So there's lots of different reasons why you might want to make sure that this information is up to date and available. Now, when you take a photo of your card, that's good. It shows that you've had your vaccinations. But your card, at least my card, is just a little piece of sort of card stock, and it has the dates that I got my shots, and it has that it was a Pfizer and someone initialed it. There's nothing there that gives specific real information, verifiable information that I didn't just make this up. So there is verifiable information associated with your COVID vaccinations. You may have a COVID card that has a QR code on it, And if you do, you should scan that code and see what happens. That may take you to your verified information. Otherwise, you may need to have a provider send you verified information, or as many health organizations have now, there are online portals. So for my doctor, I have an online portal. He is a part of a larger organization that's all under St. Francis Hospital. It's a big thing. Anyway, I can log on to something called MyCare. And I can log on online and it shows me all of my lab results and it shows me my next doctor's appointment and I can text him messages and get information back and it's great. And in that right there, even though he didn't give me any of my injections, the company that did put this online and registered it. And so it shows up in my portal. So let me show you. In the side menu here, you can see there is a COVID-19 option. And when I click that, I have different options. Now, if I say, show me the QR code, that's what it does. And at that point, I take my phone, I turn on the camera, I hold it up to the screen and it scans, and I get a pop-up on my phone that says, would you like to add this to your health app and your wallet? What? Why, yes, I do. And so I tap that button and it immediately shows up in both places. You can see here, this is how it looks in the health app. It has information as sort of a summary, and then I can tap on each one and it takes to more information. And if some authority really needed to know more information, they have a QR code that they can scan and access the actual information from the people who gave me the injection. Likewise, I can see that it's in my wallet, and again, there's a QR code there that they can scan that will give them more information. The other option in my healthcare portal is that I can download a PDF. That PDF also has information for me, and it has information that they can access. So this gives you a verified record of your vaccinations, which may or may not be important on your trip, but it's always best to be prepared. All right, let's finish up with our talk about photos, and then we can move on to other things. So far, we've been talking about photos to take before you leave on your trip, things to prepare for. But you're going to want to take some photos during your trip. And I don't just mean selfies of you and whatever amazing thing is behind you, or selfies of you and the people you're traveling with, or beautiful scenery shots. There are things that you're going to want to take a photo of that will help protect you and help you remember things. For example, if you have to rent a car, there's usually someone that comes out and walks around the car with you ahead of time and looks it over, whether they're there or not. But especially if they're there, while they're there, take photos of that car. If there's any little scratches or marks that are identified and checked off on the sheet, take a photo. Make sure you have a record of what that car looks like now, and when you drive back in to return it, take photos of it again so that you can prove before and after, so that if they ever come back to you later and say, you owe us because of this damage to the fender, you can prove that damage wasn't there when you finished, or you can prove it was already there when you got the car in the beginning. Same holds true if you are renting a property like an Airbnb or some other place. When you arrive at your destination, take photos. When you leave, take photos so that you can document the condition of things. Other ways that you can use your phone: you may end up parking in a massive parking lot at Disney World or at Universal Studios or at an airport somewhere, or who knows where you're going, a national park, whatever. When you park, take a photo. Take a photo of the parking spot with some landmark that will help you find your car when you come wandering out of there 6 hours later. So if there are light poles that have numbers or letters of the alphabet or whatever close to your car, take a picture of your car with that pole in the background so you know you were on row G. Anything that helps you find your car later, why not? I know I can lose a car in a parking lot. Help yourself. If you are checking baggage to fly, Once you check your baggage and you've got the baggage checking claim on the handle there and you're all set, take a photo that shows the condition of your luggage and that shows the claim ticket so that you have a record of the claim ticket. You also can document the condition that your luggage was in case you ever have to file some sort of complaint about lost or damaged luggage. Last thing, in some cases this is not necessary, but you may be staying in a large resort that has numerous buildings and rooms or whatever. You may be on a massive cruise ship. Take a photo of your room number. Sometimes you forget. There can be a lot of room 226s if there's lots of different buildings or lots of different decks on a ship. There can be more than one of one number. So make sure you know if you are A226 or 23, deck 23, room 226. Take a photo. You'll appreciate it later. So what do you need on your phone besides lots of pictures, the pictures that I've told you to take and the pictures that you're taking to document your amazing vacation? You need some apps that are going to help you in your travel. So if you are flying, you want these apps. You want the app that's called FlightAware. It is the #1 ranked app for tracking flights, knowing the delays, knowing departure times, all that kind of information. You want an app that's called Flyo, and I'm not sure if that's how they say it, Flio, the Flyo app, well, whatever they call it, that's what you want. It also gives you tracking information. It gives you additional information about airports where you will find places to eat in airports, where you're going to find restrooms in airports. It's going to give you a number of different pieces of information, as you can see here on the screen. So download that app. You'll appreciate that if you are going in and out of different airports. You'll also want to download My TSA app. This will give you good information about how long security screenings are running on a given time and day, how early maybe you should arrive at the airport if there's a long line. We have heard plenty of things over the last 6 or 8 weeks as people have started some of the spring and summer travel of flights being delayed, flights being canceled, massive lines at security check-ins. These apps will help you know ahead of time what you're looking at and how to prepare for that. Lastly, whatever airline you're flying with, whether it's Delta or American Airlines or JetBlue or whatever, they all have their own app. Get that one. That's going to give you access to your boarding pass. It'll also give you access about any changes in flight schedules, flight delays. If your flight is canceled, you may use that as a way to rebook a different flight. So make sure you have your airline app downloaded as well. Now, some apps that you may want to have, whether you're flying or driving or whatever, would be like apps that you've used for booking things, such as Booking.com, Hotel.com. There's a number of these sites. For our upcoming trip, I used Booking.com for a number of things. It was really easy to book things. They immediately sent me email confirmation, so I have email agendas. They sent it directly to my Google Calendar, so my calendar is marked with exactly where I stay every day. So that they did a great job. And I've got the Booking.com app so that I can pull up all of my reservations right there on the spot. Whatever booking organization you worked with, they're going to have an app. That's going to make it easy for you. If you happen to book directly with some hotels, as I did in some cases, these hotels also have apps that you can download and track your booking information. So I have the Bonvoy app, which is the app that Marriott uses for their hotels. But you may be using Choice Hotels or Best Western Hotels or whatever hotels you're using. They're going to have apps as well. That's a great way to track your information and to pull it up quickly when you're doing check-ins. Just like you were photographing your cards for any sort of travel services you might have, make sure you've got the app downloaded for AAA. Make sure you've got your AARP app downloaded so you can take advantage of any benefits you might have at restaurants or whatever. If you are going into a city where you know you're going to have to hire transportation, go ahead and have the Uber app downloaded or whatever app you're going to use. Don't wait until you're in a hotel with spotty Wi-Fi or slow Wi-Fi and you're going to need a car in 10 minutes and it's like, I got to download the app. Uh, do that ahead of time. Have your phone ready for the trip with that kind of information. Also remember, you can book your travel directly through Google Maps. So if you've got the Google Maps app on there, which we will talk about in a moment, you can book your Uber or any other car directly through that app. Also, if you're driving, Gas Buddy, pretty highly recommended to find some, I won't say inexpensive gas prices the way things are going right now, but maybe if you got a choice between the $5 a gallon gas and the $4.79 a gallon, I'm going to find the $4.79 a gallon. Why not? Save myself a little bit. So Gas Buddy will help with that. And if you're going into a place and you're going to wing it a little bit, when you get there, you're going to figure out what is it that I need to do. TripAdvisor is a great app to have downloaded so that you can get some recommendations and find some places that you might want to visit. All right, we are just about done, but I got a few final tips and things to talk about with you. So since we were just talking about apps, let's continue talking about apps for a moment. I want to talk about map apps if you're driving on your vacation. Now, there's always a debate. Google Maps, Apple Maps, which one are you going to use if you have an iPhone? For a long time, Google has had the reputation of having the map that had the most accurate, most thorough directions. The folks at Apple have done a lot of work. Most people are saying, yeah, they've caught up now. You can use either one. You're going to get to your destination on time. So I don't really care which app you use. They both have some nice features. I personally have used the Google Maps app for most of my driving. There are features about it that I've always liked. I use a lot of Google products, and so it integrates with those pretty well. So I've used that, and I will tell you a couple of things about it that I want you to know. Make sure you've downloaded the newest version. They have done a lot of new things, a lot of new additions. For example, if you're traveling through a city, it will mark on the map every stoplight and every stop sign. So that's a really nice feature if you know that you're coming up on that. They give you what they call green leaf options. If you say I'm going from Windsor, Connecticut to Boston, if there are two ways that you might go that are going to be a similar time, but one is going to be more cost efficient in terms of gas mileage and whatever, it will be identified with a little green leaf. That might be the option that takes 10 minutes longer, 15 minutes longer, but it's going to save you money. And they calculate that based on, are you likely to spend time sitting and waiting with the car idling at toll booths, how much traffic is on each road. They're not going to send you on the economic way if it's like 3 hours longer, because obviously that's not economic. But if there's similar travel times, they may recommend not the fastest, and that's the reason why. And there will be a little green leaf on the map that will show you that. If you are traveling, it will show you the price of tolls ahead of time so that you'll know how much to anticipate with the tolls. Make sure that you know that you can download maps with Google Maps so that if you happen to be in an area where you don't have good Wi-Fi, you still have maps and they are still interactive. You can zoom in, tap on them, do things there. You just can't connect back to Google if you don't have Wi-Fi and go beyond the map that you've saved. But you can download maps for use. Other features that are nice about it. You can tap when you get out of your car and it will put a pin where you parked. Now, how accurate? I don't know. In my general life, going to the grocery store, I can see my car from the door. So I don't have to worry about that. I've tried it and it says, hey, you're parked right here. But, it gives a little bit of an area, and basically I'm standing in that area when I walk out the door. But if I was at a massive parking lot, it might help me along with taking that picture. It will give you lots of route options. You can add multiple stops. You can share your location. If you need to let someone else know where you are, if you are traveling from one direction and someone else is coming from another direction, You can share your location so they know where you are and what your expected arrival time is. Um, what else? Oh, if you're in a city where you need to take the metro or the bus, you can get transit maps. It works well with the map widgets. It works well with your Apple Watch. It integrates with Siri. I love Google Maps, but that's not to say you can't use Apple Maps. And many of these same features are available with Apple Maps. So I think you'll be happy with either one, but I just wanted you to know. Now, if you're driving and using a map, maps, because they are constantly connecting with GPS to track your location, this is a massive suck on your battery. Your battery life is going to plummet. So you're going to want to have your phone charging as you're driving just to maintain your battery life. There are some things you can do that will help slow down that drain. For one thing, set your phone, or not your phone, set your map app into dark mode. It's not going to make the road scenery look dark necessarily unless you tell it to. You can set it in night mode all the time if you want for your transportation. But what it does do is all the surrounding features, all the other bits of information on the screen will be in dark mode. The less bright the phone has to make the screen, the less battery it uses. So that is a way to save on battery life. Another thing you can do to save on battery life is you don't have to have the map looking at you while you're driving all the time. Normally I clip it on the little phone holder and I can see the map over there while I'm driving and I can see the road I'm going to take, and that's great in the city. But if I'm leaving my house and driving for 2 hours on the interstate and I don't really need to see things until I take that exit ramp and get into that unfamiliar city, I can reach up and click off my screen. I will still hear voice navigation as it prompts me along the way, but I won't be using battery to keep the screen lit up. And that screen will stay lit up unless you manually turn it off. So that's also a way to save battery life. You may be using a music player. I use Spotify. Same with the Map app. Almost all of these music players, also podcast players, have a dark mode. Again, you are saving on battery life when you set it in dark mode. So if you're using Overcast or Podcast Player or whatever you're using for your podcast or your music, set them in dark mode. And if there's any unnecessary graphics that are happening in your particular app, like my example here is going to be Spotify. If you're a Spotify user, you know that when a song is playing, there's a little video loop of scenes that come from the music video. They just loop through over and over and over and over and over and over and over while that song is playing. And I don't need that while I'm driving. Frankly, I don't need it ever. And so you can turn off those loops in the setting so that you're not using your battery to process a video loop over and over and over. So there's just a couple of final tips for you on that. Other tips you can use. If you are traveling, flying into an airport and someone is meeting you, if you text them ahead of time, just the airline and your flight number. Southwest Airlines, flight number 1426. That will come to them as a link. They can click that link in the text message. It'll take them directly to information tracking that flight online so that they know, are you arriving early? Are you arriving late? When do I need to leave to get to the airport to meet you? So that's sort of a nice convenience for the person on the other end. If you are traveling and you're really worried about your luggage getting lost and you have the money to afford it, you can buy air tags or other tracking things like a tile or whatever. Put one in your luggage. You may be able to track your AirTag luggage and know that, well, I landed in Denver. Unfortunately, my luggage landed in Austin, and that's not good. But you can let the airline know that and say, I already know where it is. Help me get it back. Carry portable battery chargers with you, like the little battery pack, so that you can charge your phone or charge your laptop or charge your iPad even when you don't have access to a plug. You'll thank me later on that one. And lastly, buy an inexpensive power strip. You can get them on Amazon, less than 20 bucks. They're going to have plenty of outlets for your plugs, but they're also going to have some USB-A plugs. And if you look carefully, you'll find something that have both USB-A and USB-C. It's nice to have that USB-C outlet as well. So you can have that. And so when the whole family piles into a hotel at the end of the day and everybody needs to charge, and there's only one outlet and you have to crawl behind the desk to get to it, you're welcome. Stick a $20 power strip in your backpack or your briefcase. It's worth it. All right, that's what I got for you. I hope you have a great trip. If you go on any trip, I hope wherever you go, you will tell me about it. Send me pictures. I want to see pictures. You send me pictures, I'll share them with the group next month. Let's see what you do on your vacation, okay? And I will make sure and post a few pictures of where I'm traveling as well. I'm going over 2,000 miles in the car. We will see how that goes. I've never done a big driving trip like that before, visiting 5 different cities in 5 different states. I'm looking forward to it. All right, I will talk to you next month. I hope these tips help you to feel like you are becoming more of a power user every day.